What's up? My name is Michel. I'm from Germany. I really enjoyed working with the sample pack. I feel like I've been waiting my entire life for an open call like this. So thank you so much, Andrew, for the opportunity. Let's dive right into how I made my track. So for the intro, I just took one of these one shots and dragged it into Vital. Then I put a comb filter on it so that I could play it kind of like this pad texture, which sounds like this. I also recorded some live clarinet for the intro and for this little transition part. Right in the beginning, there's also this little effect going on, which is basically just one of the one-shots. I also added some equalizing to boost some tonal frequencies. And then I added this awesome Sanford reverb plugin where you can turn on freeze mode so that the reverb doesn't just decay away, but you can actually use it like a tonal texture atmosphere, and that sounds like this. I also ended up using that for like smaller bits of percussion and fillers. Then for this little transition part from the intro to like the first main section, I took a bunch of layered synthesizers, which are mostly the sample, like individual wavetable positions of the sample, like for example here, and then there's also a layer underneath. Kind of filters in. Then for this first section where we kind of start introducing like sort of a drill-like beat, like UK drill sort of, I designed some percussion using one of the one-shots and this awesome frequency shifting plugin. I also processed that and edited it and used it as layers, like right here. I also ended up vocoding that percussion loop to like a basic saw wave. Another use I made of the sample pack was I just took like a whole bunch of different samples and just chopped them up. Simple like that. I also processed it. Some of the percussion that I used was also made from the sample. In this UK drill section, we also have this part where we have like super saws playing, which sound like this. They're actually also made entirely from the samples by once again just using one sample as a wavetable and then playing chords off of that. One of my favorite usages of the sample pack was probably this effect right here, which is essentially just one of the one-shots with a bit of reverb, an automated LFO, and also an automated flanger like this. What I also did with that was I dragged it into a granulizer. For the drum and bass section, I basically have these chords playing. Which sound kind of basic, but are actually also made from the sample. I think my favorite part of this drum and bass section, and probably my favorite usage of the samples at all, is this really thick sounding drum and bass. Using one of the wavetable positions and then increasing the unison a bit. Also, what I did add was just a whole bunch of compression and a little bit of vocoding even, which is actually the Thick Rack by Will from Ghost Tech. If anyone remembers that, you're a legend. It just makes your bass sound amazing. I also love that the distortion is just that heavy that it also fills out these little spaces in between with like white noise kind of. I just really like how the sounds combined with the side chaining of the kick going on. Another live clarinet melody for the outro. And yeah, I think that's about it. Of course, there are many elements that I didn't mention, but you'll hear the final track. And thank you so much for the opportunity once again.